Hi everybody, welcome to Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl on PC, and in this video tutorial I'm going to attempt to show you how to download, install and configure the Zone Reclamation Project mod for standalone vanilla Shadow of Chernobyl Stalker, because what it can give us is, amongst many other things that improve the game and fix the game and stop it crashing and all of this sort of stuff, it can give us things like God mode. It can give us a item spawner, so we can spawn whatever we like. It can give us a teleport mode where we can jump around the map. So before we dive into sort of actually installing it and that sort of stuff, let me kind of give you an idea. So what you can do is, if you go into the menu and then if we press Z, what we can do is we can bring up this menu and we can press U, or just click on that and say go, spawn Ultima Shield, and then if we go into our inventory we have this thing. And if you look at my specs down in the bottom right hand corner, you'll see they're just normal, I haven't really got anything. But if I put that on my belt, all of a sudden, bang, we are very well protected indeed. And we could also, so again, if we press Z again, we could say, let's go down here, let's go spawn something in inventory. And then what we could do is, if we go into a list that I'll show in a little bit, we can look at weapons. So for example, what do you reckon? Weapon underscore, let's have something decent. We just go down there. Weapon underscore SVD. That's a nice weapon, isn't it? So let's go weapon underscore SVD and say go. And then if we look at my inventory, there's the SVD. And then what we can do as well is, if we go into it again, we can say spawn AP for armor, and it's my rifle, so I press 2. And then we should be able to see, I should be able to equip my rifle, and I've got 10 bullets for it. So straight away, starting off the game, I've got a very nice sniper rifle, but it doesn't stop there. If we press J, we can bring up the jump menu. So this is a simple teleporter that takes us to kind of the near exits around that you're allowed to go through at this particular stage of the game. It's kind of the closest one. If I bring up my PDA, you kind of sort of see what I'm talking about. So we're down here, aren't we, in the starting village there. So that's kind of me there. And then these are the kind of the exits that we can go to. So it's just the close ones. If we zoom all the way out, it doesn't mean we can go all the way up to Pripyat or Chernobyl or anything like that, but we can just go to the close ones. However, there is something that's very cool indeed, where if we go T, we get this menu up. Now this can be a bit confusing to start off with, because this is the teleport menu, but you can only use it in Cordon when you first start off, or in Cordon anyway, the kind of starting area. And what it can do is it can unlock all of the missions you would have needed to get to a particular place. So let's imagine you've played through the game and you think, okay, I want to do another playthrough, I enjoy it that much, but I want to try some different things this time. But I want to start the game as if I've already got to, the bar area, that kind of military base. So what you can do is you can say, okay, bar, and you can say just equip for level. And then what it does is, if we go in my inventory, you see it gives us a load of stuff as well that we would have probably had by that time. But also, if we bring up my PDA and look at my completed tasks, it completes all the tasks you would have needed to get to that particular place, that's really cool, isn't it? Then what we can do as well is we can say go B, and we can go teleport me to the bar, and this will take us there. Now you can only really do this from the starting level. And once you've teleported to a particular place, like here, I can't teleport around the map in the same way. What I can do is I can use the J for jump menu and go to those surrounding kind of exits for the particular areas that I could use, but I can't teleport anywhere. If I try to go somewhere, say I try to go back to Cordon like that, and we say teleport me there and say go, it will say you've got to be in Cordon. And then if you're there, it will say something like can't find the the way to open this particular place. You kind of get an error. So you would use this, I think, really for when you're starting off the game. You think, actually, I want to start at the Red Forest, and that's what that is very, very powerful to do. Okay, so that kind of gives you a flavour of some of the things that this mod can do. Now, it can do a load more things as well. Basically, it fixes the original game. And again, this is for Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, the Steam version, or the good old games version, or that is the DVD version if you've got that. It's not really for things like Stalker Anomaly, which are these complete rebuilds of the game that are kind of a standalone game. Often these will have their own mods that will do this. In fact, a lot of the time they may well be this particular mod in itself as well. It may well have ZRP sort of built into it. But you know, your best thing to do is when you are using something like Anomaly or one of the other standalone mods, have a look at the Discord or the files that come with it and see how it works. You know, because you might be able to access things from the console command and stuff like that. So all the relevant links will be in the description below this video. So it's the Zone Reclamation Project, and I highly recommend that you go and have a look at their website and have a good read through of everything it does, because it does loads and loads and loads and loads of stuff to fix the game and make it better. Doesn't improve graphics. There's other mods that can kind of do that I will be covering. And what I really enjoyed with this is, if you're familiar with my channel, you know that I do a lot about DayZ modding, and it reminds me of when I first started off with DayZ modding and not knowing anything at all. So when DayZ came out on Xbox back in 2017, I think it was, there was very little information online, and this information you would find would often be really old and out of date on websites like this. But the beauty with Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl and the original trilogy is that all of this stuff, most of it, still applies. So it's really, really cool. So what you'll want to do is you want to go and you want to download ZRP 1.07. It's not very big, and you download that to your computer. So it'll probably be in your downloads folder, something like that. And then what you want to do is you want to find out where your Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl is installed on your computer. One of the ways you can do it is if you go to your Steam library, then right click it and go Properties, and then go Installed Files, and then go Browse. That will open up the folder so you kind of know where it is. Then in that folder, make another folder. I've called mine called ZRP. So this is where we're going to copy the mod. So go back to your Downloads folder, right click, copy that, go to where are we? Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, go into the ZRP folder, right click, paste it, as you can see I've done in here. And then we can go in here, and there's loads of really interesting things in here. So you want to open up the quick start guide and read that, because that tells you the instructions and anything that I forget in this video, and the readme as well. And you've also got in here as well, you'll have the game data. And so what you can do is you go into ZRP, you take the game data folder like that, so you copy that, you go up, go into kind of the main directory of Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, and then you right click paste. Now if you've already got a game data folder here, name it to something else. So name it like game data.back or something like that to keep it. And once that is in there, that's kind of the main chunkiness of the files that we want to do. But we do have to edit this file called fsgame.ltx. So if you open that up into your favorite text editor, like so, in the quick start guide, if you read that, it gives you this entry that you have to put in. Here we go. Drag the FS game into your Stalker desktop and drop it there. Edit with Notepad, but you don't have to do that. Change the second line. There we go. So that's the line you change there. So you would just paste the other one over the top, and it changes some of the entries. But basically, I think what it's doing, it's telling the game to use that game data folder. So we're almost good to go now, and all the basic things of the mod would now work. So if you go and read through the README, Lots of these things that are kind of baked into ZRP would be working. However, it is fully configurable. So what you want to do then is, if you go, where are we, into the game data again, and then right click the modifier and create a shortcut, and then put that shortcut on your desktop, or you can just click it from here, it doesn't really matter, but put it somewhere obvious so you don't get it confused with the other one. What we can do now is we can now configure the mod. So you double click on that to open it, and you'll be faced with something like this. Here we go. And this is where we can start to dive into it. And what I kind of recommend you do is, it can be very confusing with all these settings if you haven't already played quite a bit of Stalker already and understand some of the shortcomings and problems that you have as you're going through, and some of the features that you would like to have. If you're doing this as a fresh install, like you've never played Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl before, what I'd recommend you do is actually just play the game vanilla, because it's great. You know, I'm playing it vanilla on Xbox, and it's great. And then you can come back to this and go, actually, these are the things that I think we could do with really playing around with, and then you can work your way through them. Now, there's lots and lots of different items to each config. So, for example, you've got the ZRP config. So we have things like auto saves. You could use the ABC sleeping bag, turn earthquakes off. You can turn down radiation. Loads of little tweaks that you can mess around with. But you also have the config notes. If you click on those, it will tell you specific things about the thing you're looking at, which can be really good, because we've got zrp.config, but if we take this down, we can go to something like actor.config, and you install the actor, and you would click on that one, use 105.6, and apply. And this means we can then change things like difficulty, so your vulnerability, how much endurance you've got. I wouldn't, starting off with, I wouldn't really mess around with stuff like this, because you don't really need to, because as I showed you in the mod to start off with, you take that special anomaly thing, that special artifact thing, and stick it in your belt, and you're pretty much invulnerable as you go along. But there's a few things that you might want to play around with. First person shooter, you would install this, and again you can turn down things like, or turn up the NPC accuracy and your accuracy. When you play Shadow of Chernobyl, you notice there's a lot of random bullet deviation, where your bullets don't seem to be going where you're shooting them, which I think is quite cool, because they're all janky weapons, aren't they? They've been hanging around the Chernobyl exclusion zone. But again, you can play around with that. But one of the ones that's really important is the support utilities.config. And so you go to enable, and you would tick on that, and you would apply that. And for example, you'd want to give yourself money, so install that one as well. Repair weapons and armor, you could tick that and apply. And then you've got spawn tools there as well, so install spawning scripts, so tick that and apply that, and that gives you the ability to spawn the things in. So you can go through and look at all this sort of stuff and think what you might want to play around with and install it, read the config notes and check it out. Now, some of the things that you turn on when you go into it work straight away. Some of them need a restart of Stalker. So after you've done a lot of changes, I would just restart Stalker anyway. And just remember, you need to be in a game, then you press escape, and then we've got Z to bring up the support utilities for all that cool stuff that we can spawn in, repair, give yourself money, that sort of stuff. Spawn something means we can spawn in NPCs. And then we've got J, that's the jump menu, so that's one of the things that enable you to easily move around the zone. One of the reasons why they put this in was because ZRP, what it does is it prevents a lot of the respawning in of the NPCs. If you've played a bit of Shadow of Chernobyl, you'll know this already. So you'll be going through a level, or you've gone through a level, and there's a load of enemies back there have reappeared again, or sometimes they'll just appear out of nowhere and kill you, and you're like, oh, and it stops that happening. But what that means is that some of the areas can be very empty once you've gone through them once. So you can zip past them using this. So that's J, and remember we've got T for when you first start the game. You can go through and you can activate, equip everything, and then you can teleport to that particular place and then crack on with the game as if you've played through to that particular point already. Before we finish, I just want to show you some useful stuff as well. So one of the problems you might well have is understanding what stuff is called when you want to spawn stuff in. So if you go into where are we? If you go into game data and then go into scripts, and then say with the spawn script, if you go into optional, and then you go down to, here we go, spawn. Here we go, spawn item inventory, and we edit that with Notepad++. It gives you a list of everything that you can spawn in your inventory there as well, so you can have a look through that. And also what I'll do is I will put a link to the Stalker wiki as well, which kind of gives you lists of lots of different things that you can spawn in, just to give you an idea, because obviously if you haven't completed the game, or even when you've completed the game, you might not quite be aware of all the different things that you can have. Also, the thing I would say is, if we go into scripts, all of these scripts you can open up and you can have a look at. Again, some of them have instructions on how to mod them, not all of them do. So be careful about changing things. Be very careful that you don't change anything, because it might stop the script working. But apart from that, yeah, there we go. Hopefully you found this very, very useful, as kind of I have. And it just makes Stalker of Chernobyl more stable on PC, helps to be able to spawn stuff in, and especially I think once you've had that first playthrough and you want to go to specific parts of the game, this definitely helps it. Now what I will be doing is, if people enjoy these videos and they haven't been too much of a mess because I really don't know what I'm doing when it comes to Stalker modding, I'll try and do some more as they come along. What I want to do is do some videos about the standalone mods like Anomaly, and like there's loads of them as well, ones that just make the graphics look better. I might even download the 100 megabytes or 100 gigabytes of the Anomaly Gamma mod, which is absolutely huge. Anyway, that's enough from me. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you have, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe, and of course I'll see you again soon.